Evening, folks. I hope you're all well on this windy, shitty day here in the UK. Now, last night I watched the Top Rank show, the night of the rematches, essentially, which was topped off by Emanuel Navarrete successfully defending his WBO Super-Featherweight title against previous victim or rival Oscar Valdez. Now, the first fight wasn't really close in my opinion. It was entertaining, but it wasn't really close. I felt last year in their first fight that Navarrete won pretty wide, and I didn't really understand why the rematch was happening. I know Valdez was the interim champion, so I do get it, but on paper it was kind of like I wasn't really looking that forward to it, to be honest. And Emanuel Navarrete, he pretty much dominated Oscar Valdez from the start. Valdez just didn't look like he was there, to be honest. He was dropped in the first round with a right hand to the top of the head, which obviously scrambled his brain. He wasn't badly hurt, but it obviously scrambled his brain a bit. And from then on, I just felt Navarrete he just was putting it on him. He wasn't worried about anything coming back from Valdez. Valdez, it looked like his legs weren't under him. He did say in the post-fight interview that he'd turned his ankle and he was having problems with his right ankle, but he said no excuses, so fair enough. And I must admit, he did look very off balance a lot in there. Now, he wasn't, everything he tried to throw at Navarrete either absorbed with a smile or it just didn't bother him, you know. Navarrete was mixing up the punches nicely. He was landing, thumping the jab home. He was landing right hands. He was working hooks to the head and body. He switched southpaw a couple of times and was firing the left uppercut up through the middle. He dropped Valdez again in round 4. Right at the end of the round, Valdez complained bitterly that it was a trip. Yeah, okay, the feet did come together. He was kind of bundled over. Again, he wasn't seriously hurt, but he did take a right hand moments before, which did hurt him. And Navarrete piled in with some punches, punctuated by a right uppercut, I believe, and that sent Valdez down. Obviously, the feet got tangled, so I can kind of see, maybe he was a bit hard done by, but I can kind of see why the referee counted. And then the end came in the 6th. It was a left hook to the body, just drove all the air out of Valdez. He took too much punishment in there, and he was counted out. First time he's ever been knocked out as a professional. So Emanuel Navarrete has retained his WBO Super-Featherweight title. I would imagine he'd be looking forward to a unification, potentially with the WBC champion O'Shaquie Foster. Now that would be an interesting fight. I would look forward to that one. Quite where Oscar Valdez goes, I don't know. He needs to reevaluate his game plan, because he had no game plan in there really, apart from chugging forward and looking for the one big punch, which never came, sadly. And I don't know. I mean, he's 33. He's been around a long time. I know some people would probably be saying, calling for his retirement. I don't know. I think he's finished at world level, unless he really sorts himself out. Changes maybe his training team. But what could he possibly achieve now? I don't know. But it would be interesting to see. But it was a good victory for Vaquero, Navarrete, but I don't know. I wasn't surprised. Let's put it that way. Chief support was the big rematch for the WBO Featherweight title between Rafael Espinoza and Robeisy Ramirez from last year. Last year, Espinoza took a close decision victory. It was a hell of a fight last year. One of the fights of the year last year. This one was a cagier affair. It was a bizarre ending, though. I'll get to that. Espinoza was using his jab quite nicely, because he's 6'1", for a featherweight. That's huge. I think Ramirez is about 5'6", 5'7", so it was a hell of a height difference. And Espinoza came out trying to use the long jab, follow out the right hand behind it. First few rounds I gave to Robeisy Ramirez. I thought he was slicker. He was moving nicely. He was firing the straight left, because it's southpaw left up the middle. He was catching Espinoza to that long body of his, which is obviously a huge target for somebody so tall. He was firing it to the solar plexus, firing it to the head. He was really staying out of trouble. Now, before the fight, it had been brought up that Ramirez and his team felt that Espinoza uses his elbows a lot. When he follows through with the punch, he tends to use the elbow. Whether it's intentional or not, it's just one of those kind of habits he's picked up. So they'd had a word with the referee and things like that. They made their concerns known. Now, like I say, by round 4, I had Ramirez comfortably ahead. And as I say, he was fighting. They were only single shots, but he was moving well. He was avoiding getting into too much trouble, and he was countering nicely with his left hand. Now, in the 5th, the tide started to turn. I felt that Espinoza started to put it on him a bit. He was stalking pretty much the whole fight, and he was landing the right hand quite nicely. He was jabbing quite nicely. And then early in the 6th, this is where it ended. It was very bizarre. About 12 seconds in, Espinoza fired a straight right hand, and then Robeisy Ramirez put his arm up and turned away and did a no mas, Roberto Duran's no mas, and he quit. And everybody in the arena looked shocked. I was sat on my sofa here, confused, didn't really know what was going on. The commentary team, I actually had the sound on last night, which I wish I hadn't, because it was pretty awful. They were shocked, and Ramirez was kind of indicating that he'd been elbowed. His right eye was all swelling up quite rapidly. There's obviously some damage there. He's obviously broken his eye socket or something. But he was kind of indicating he'd been elbowed. Now, the replay showed it was a right hand. It was a straight right hand down the pipe that caught him in that eye. So I don't know where this elbow came from. And then he's kind of said maybe in the 4th he'd taken an elbow. Now, I haven't watched it back, admittedly. All the replays they showed, I didn't see any blatant elbows. I didn't notice any elbows, let's put it that way. I mean, I'll have to watch it back. I didn't notice any elbows. So, yeah, I don't really know. I don't know if he's clinging to an excuse there. Yes, he did quit, but I don't blame him. I mean, clearly there was some trauma to the eye. I don't blame anybody. If there's a serious injury there, why keep going? Risk permanent injury, you know. But yeah, it was a very bizarre, and it was almost like he wanted a way out, almost. I felt. I mean, like I say, the eye did look damaged, but I don't know. It was a bit of a disappointing end, because it was just starting to warm up into being a nice, almost could end up being a classic like their first fight was. But there you go. Rafael Espinoza retains his WBO Featherweight title. Look forward to see what happens with him. Maybe they could have another one down the road, because the first fight was close. Obviously, this one ended in bizarre fashion. Maybe we can make a case for a third fight, but we'll see. Navarrete, do apologise. Espinoza will probably be targeting potential unification with Angelo Leo. He's got the IBF title. Nick Ball maybe down the road. He's the WBA champion. Who knows? It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be interesting. So I haven't watched the Liam Paro fight. I know the result. Split decision victory to I can never get his fucking name right. Hitchens. From all accounts, it shouldn't have been a fucking split decision. It should have been unanimous decision. But I'll have to watch it myself. But yeah, and also I did see the tail end of it. Kubrat Pulev, 43. I think he's 43 years old. He took the WBA World Heavyweight title, regular title, if you will, from Emanuel Navarrete. So now he claims a slice of the pie, which is a bit ridiculous, really. Emanuel Navarrete said he's my age. You know, he's up there. He hasn't fought for nearly 2 years. He's got 2 fake hips, and he hasn't actually had a decent victory in a long, long time. He only got the belt because of the nonsense in the courts, and the WBA are fucking idiots. You know, Alexander Usyk, as it is today, is the WBA champion. He's the only one that counts. But on paper, now Kubrat Pulev has a claim to the World Heavyweight title. So we'll have to see what's going on there, what happens there. But there you go. That's a bit of nonsense, really. And from what I saw, I mean, I only saw the last few rounds. It was a bit of a boring fight. It wasn't particularly entertaining. Pulev won it quite convincingly. So there you go. Right, that's enough out of me. I hope you have a good week. I hope you're all well. Take care, folks, and I'll speak to you soon.